Welcome to Gusto with Ashley Sterling. Your dream career starts here.
Hey guys, welcome to Gusto. My name is Ashley Sterling, and this week's topic is where do I start? This is a question that we all ask ourselves in a variety of life situations. You know, is it a career change? Is it a um, uh, lifestyle change? Is it a chore list? Is it a small personal goal? Is it a large goal that's going to involve a lot of people? Where do I start is it can come in many forms, right? So instead of maybe where do I start, you could ask yourself, how do I start? Or will I do it the right way? Will I do it the wrong way? Often it kind of spirals from there and can go into what if I fail? But what if I succeed? What if? What if? What if? What if? I mean, there's so many what if scenarios out there, you'll drive yourself crazy if you stop and just think about the what if or the how. So, in terms of just starting something, even if it's not perfect, that is the most common piece of advice that I've heard, at least in my career, is it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be a certain way. For example, I'm currently recording this at 2:55 in the morning after being woken up by my cat, sitting in my PJs in my living room and in complete darkness. is is this what I expected this episode to look like when I was recording it? No. Will I post social media pictures with, the setup and the sunlight? Yes. Am I happy that I'm up at 3 a.m.? Not really. But I felt like it was a really great example or a great opportunity just to showcase that perfection, and there is no perfect way. There is no perfect start. You just have to do it. Just do it. Nike, please don't come for me. So, in terms of, first things first, when it does come to getting started, what is it that you want? What is your goal? Is your goal something that will be accomplished over the course of 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, 50 hours, 5 hours, maybe 50 minutes? I mean, in terms of where it is that you want to be on the other side, what what are your goals? And once you're able to figure out what your end goal is, you can start to break it down into smaller goals. Smaller goals that are maybe bite-sized goals. And this is a pretty common way of thinking, within the self-help community, within the professional community, across various platforms. I am not a health professional of any variety. This is just a common thing that I've seen in several books that I've read, where it focuses on when there's a huge goal in front of you, it can be really paralyzing. So what is a small little piece that you can take at a time that allows you to feel that accomplishment and allows you to feel like you are getting closer to your end goal, but it's in a manageable fashion. Most of the time, you'll see this with lifestyle changes or training for a marathon. Uh, Someone decides, they get really motivated. I want to run a marathon, and they go too hard, too fast, and they run too much. They injure themselves. Their body isn't conditioned to do it, so they give up. Well, I mean, any sort of goal can be looked at the exact same, or in that kind of metaphor, if you will. Where if your goal is a marathon, you're not going to suddenly just run 26.2 miles. You have to run 1 mile at a time. It is not one giant step. It is many thousands. I've ran a few marathons. It's thousands of steps uh, to get from the starting line to the finish line. So approaching your goal, approaching your career change, your lifestyle change, or I mean, heck, even just cleaning your house with small, manageable bites or small, manageable steps will help you get to that next milestone. But again, I digress. How do I start? Well, now that you have your goal in mind, the end goal at least, what are those individual goals that you can break down? How do you break them down? How does it work for you? Not everyone's brain or method works the same way. So when it comes to me, for example, when I have a goal in mind, I will see the goal and then I start to backtrack in terms of, okay, how can I break this down into 10 steps? Okay, how can those 10 steps be broken down into 5 steps per 10 steps? How can those 5 steps per 10 steps be broken down into 2 per 5 per 10 to my final end goal? And again, it makes it much more manageable, but it also provides me with a timeline. Not everything needs a timeline. Not everything can have a timeline. But again, to organize what it is that you want to do, and to really allow yourself to have that vision and have that motivation and kind of just go for it, really allows you to manage those steps, manage those milestones, and get to the end of that marathon. So in addition to outlining your goal when it comes to the end goal that you want, when it comes to the individual goals in between now and that end goal, in terms of really just the basics of getting started, take the first step. That can be writing out your goal. That can be maybe reading a book that inspires you. That can be creating a graphic in Canva, for example, just to get something out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be what everyone else has. There's a lot of variables when it comes to comparison in our world right now, especially social media, with the rise of entrepreneurs, with the rise of freelancers. There's so many different ways that we can compare ourselves and our individual journey to someone else, and that's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to your dreams. It's not fair to your career. It does nothing for you. So try to stop it if you can. But I've seen so many different people who, again, kind of become paralyzed by I don't know what to do. Like, I don't, should I set this up? Should I start a podcast? How do I start a podcast? Well, I need all of this equipment first to start a podcast. Well, not necessarily. What resources do I have right now that will allow me to take the first several steps, the first 100 steps, the first 1,000 steps in my marathon? How can I get to the next level, the next mile, the next milestone? So one thing that I like to do in terms of setting goals and getting started when it comes to pretty much anything is asking myself a couple of different questions. What do I want? Why do I want it? How am I standing in my own way, and what is in my control? In terms of self-motivation or discipline, it really boils down to what is your method? Like, how do you work as a person? How do you work as an individual? Are you a visual person? Would a visual board help you? Are you a analytical person? Would breaking it down into a spreadsheet help you? Again, there's no right or wrong way, and in my opinion, just even asking yourselves those questions, you're already getting started. You're already putting it into action. You're already getting your motivation going. And don't be afraid to ask for help. One piece of advice that I am also hearing lately is speak with an expert who is in the exact position that you want to be in. Now, in various industries, that could be kind of impossible. If you strive to be Bill Gates, it might be a little tough to to get him on the phone. unless you can, and then, hey, I'm impressed. But in terms of speaking with an expert, or maybe even just following an expert's career path, or your inspiration's career path. Is it Arnold Schwarzenegger? He has broken down his entire career in a variety of media platforms. He's also hilarious. But there is, look to the expert. Look to your inspiration. Is that person where you want to be? And if so, research how they got there. They were not one thing one day and suddenly who they are today the next day. I mean, it took time, it took effort, it took work, it took blood, sweat, tears. I mean, the whole shebang. But find that expert that mirrors your values, mirrors your career path, mirrors what it is that you see for yourself in your future, and do some research, do some digging. If they are accessible, reach out to them and just say, hey, this is what I would love to do with my career, with my life. Do you have any advice? Alternatively, there are plenty of podcasts out there, plenty of interviews that interview experts in various fields. The Ed Milet show, for example, he has a variety of professionals that come onto his show for a huge range of topics, but they're all experts within their fields and experts within what it is that they're discussing, or at least an expert. So it's important to say, okay, what do I have right now? What is standing in my own way? Is it my own fear? Is it my own insecurity? Do I just think I'm not good enough? Am I not ready? Well, if it boils down to whether or not you feel that you're good enough, you always are. You're always going to be good enough. Now, when it comes down to, are you ready? Well, what skill set is required to get you to where you need to be? Do you need to polish a certain skill? Do you need to learn about a certain industry? Do you need to learn certain terminology to position yourself to better climb the ladder within that industry that you want to dive into? Are you already in that industry? Do you find motivation in reading? Do you find motivation in learning a new skill? Do you find motivation in putting together a project, a portfolio, a website? Again, there are thousands of ways that you can take the next step in getting to your goal that is perfectly within your control. Position yourself the way that you want to be positioned for this particular goal. Do you want to be a CEO of a company? Well, what aspects of your career thus far have you taken to get to that point? Do you have a mentor? Do you have someone that you follow closely? What books can you read? What lessons on YouTube can you watch? What TED Talks can you watch? There are thousands and thousands and thousands of ways that you can learn more about your specific goal, and then position yourself to better climb that ladder. And my final note for this particular episode is, don't be afraid of change. Change is amazing. And sometimes that's all that you need in order to push you to be the person that you want to be. If you're in a position where you're satisfied but you want more, change it. It's okay to change it. It's okay to go for your dreams. It's okay to be selfish. It's perfectly fine to say, you know what, I want to start my own company. So what do I need to do that? You're going to run into a lot of naysayers. You're going to run into a lot of people who themselves are afraid of change. They're going to project that onto you. Don't listen. If that's something that you want to do it. Stop stopping yourself. So, case in point, how do you start? Set your goals, set your milestones, break down those goals so that you can actively accomplish them and feel motivated and continually feel motivated. Look into experts who have already achieved that goal that you want to achieve and study how they did it. but personalize it for you. Don't compare yourself to other professionals. Don't compare yourself to the Kardashians. Don't compare yourself to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Don't compare yourself to your colleague. There is only you. You are the only you that there ever was and ever will be. So only your path is right for you. And finally, don't be afraid of change. Change is what makes the world go round. Change is the circle of life. Change is everything. And change is amazing. It allows you to become the person that you want yourself to be and get you to that goal that you want to get to. Thank you guys for tuning in for this week's episode of Gusto. This will become a weekly podcast, so next episode will air next Wednesday. So in between now and then, I would love to hear from you on how it is that you have started. You know, what is it that you've done? What is it that you found worked for you? Was it a vision board? Was it journaling? Was it seeking advice from a potential mentor? Was it talking to your dog? What was it? I want to know. So shoot me a message on social media, through my website. I want to hear from you, and I want to watch you grow and watch you flourish and watch you just annihilate those goals the way that I know that you can. So thank you guys. It is now 3:23 in the morning, and I'm going to bed. Bye.
For more resources, head to ashleysterling.com and subscribe to Gusto with Ashley Sterling wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thanks to Red Stripe Down, i.e. Cory Sterling, for producing this podcast. And another special thanks to Dwayne Hill for the narration at the beginning and end of this show.